Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling cybersecurity best practices.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, not just the surface stuff, but like really getting into the kind of robust strategies that actually matter
Right.
for both individuals and businesses.
Okay.
And we've got a fantastic guide here, just chock full of really practical advice.
Nice.
Yeah, and here's a little teaser for you before we dive into it. Did you know that regularly updating your software is like giving your digital immune system a booster shot?
It is, it's more critical than people realize, I think.
Yeah.
Outdated software is like a hacker's playground, just
Yeah.
riddled with vulnerabilities, just waiting to be exploited.
So let's start with fortifying our accounts.
Okay.
Strong, unique passwords. Those are non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
But what makes them so effective against hackers?
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
A lot of hackers use automated tools that essentially run through like massive dictionaries of common passwords.
Oh.
So if you're using something like password123 or something equally simple,
Right.
and it's the same across multiple accounts, you're making their job incredibly easy.
Right.
Unique passwords, especially those with a mix of characters and symbols, are like building a fortress wall around your data.
Look at that extra barrier to entry.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what about two-factor authentication, or 2FA as we call it?
Right.
Isn't that just like an extra step that most people find really annoying?
Well, 2FA, it might seem like a minor inconvenience,
Okay.
but it adds a significant layer of security.
Yeah.
It's like having a guard at the gate
Right.
who demands not just your password, but also a special token, like a code sent to your phone.
Okay.
This makes it exponentially harder for unauthorized access, even if your password is compromised.
Okay, I'm starting to see why it's worth the extra effort.
Yeah.
So we've got strong passwords in 2FA,
Right.
but our guide actually dives deeper into 2FA
Okay.
and mentions different types.
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons of each?
Well, the most common type is SMS-based 2FA,
Okay.
where you receive a code via text message.
Right.
It's widely accessible, but can be vulnerable to SIM swapping attacks,
Oh, yeah.
where a hacker convinces your mobile provider to transfer your number to their device.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So that's not ideal.
Right. So then there's app-based 2FA,
Okay.
using authenticator apps that generate time-based codes.
Okay.
This is generally considered more secure as it doesn't rely on the phone network.
Right.
And finally, we have hardware tokens, like physical key fobs,
Oh, yeah.
which are the most resistant to hacking but can be less convenient. They're a little clunky.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So choosing the right 2FA method really depends on your security needs and how comfortable you are with the different technologies.
Exactly. It's about finding the right balance between security and convenience.
Right.
So now going back to the idea of strengthening your digital defenses.
Okay.
Software updates are crucial.
Yes.
Think of them as patching holes in your armor.
It's easy to dismiss those update notifications.
Oh, I know.
But our guide really drives home the point that ignoring them is like leaving yourself wide open to attacks.
Absolutely. Hackers are constantly searching for vulnerabilities in software.
Right.
And those updates often contain crucial security patches that address these weaknesses.
Okay.
By keeping your software up to date, you're essentially closing those gaps before attackers can exploit them.
So it's almost like playing a game of whack-a-mole with hackers.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
They just keep popping up.
Constantly trying to find new ways in.
And speaking of sneaky tactics, let's talk about phishing scams.
Oh, it's the worst.
Ugh. I know our guide talks about how sophisticated they've become. It's amazing how they can make these scams look so legitimate.
Yeah, phishing attacks, they prey on human psychology.
Right.
They use elements of urgency, fear, or even excitement to trick people into clicking malicious links or revealing sensitive information.
Wow.
They might impersonate a bank, a trusted service, or even a friend.
So how can we avoid falling for these traps?
Always scrutinize emails, especially those requesting personal information or prompting you to click links.
Okay.
Look for inconsistencies, misspellings, suspicious sender addresses.
Right.
Hover over links to check their actual destination before clicking.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah. And if something feels off, trust your gut and verify the request through an official channel.
And never, ever give out personal information unless you are absolutely positively sure you're dealing with a legitimate source.
That's right.
Okay, so we're getting good at spotting those phishing emails.
Good.
But what about when we're out and about using public Wi-Fi?
Oh, yeah.
That's when VPNs come in, right?
VPNs, or virtual private networks, are essential for securing your connection, especially on public Wi-Fi,
Right.
which is often unsecured. Imagine it as creating a secure tunnel for your data, encrypting it and routing it through a trusted server.
Okay.
It's like sending your information through an armored car instead of a postcard.
So even if someone is snooping on the network, they can't see what I'm doing.
Exactly. A VPN encrypts your internet traffic, making it extremely difficult for anyone to intercept and decipher your data.
Okay.
This is particularly important when you're accessing sensitive information, like banking details or work emails.
Right, makes sense. So this is all great advice for individuals.
Yeah.
But what about businesses? The stakes are even higher when it comes to protecting sensitive data and critical systems.
Absolutely. Businesses need to take a multifaceted approach to cybersecurity, starting with the human element.
Our guide emphasizes the importance of employee training as the foundation of a strong cybersecurity posture.
Yeah.
After all, even the most sophisticated security systems can be undermined by human error.
It's true. Employees are often the weakest link in the cybersecurity chain.
Yeah.
They might unknowingly click on a phishing link, use weak passwords, or mishandle sensitive data.
Right.
Regular security awareness training is crucial to equip employees with the knowledge and skills to identify and avoid threats.
So what should this training cover?
It should address a wide range of topics, including password security, phishing awareness, social engineering tactics, data protection policies, and the company's specific security protocols.
Right.
Simulations and interactive exercises can be particularly effective in reinforcing these concepts and helping employees develop good cyber hygiene habits.
It's like giving them the tools and knowledge to become cyber warriors,
Exactly.
defending the company from those digital threats.
And it's not just about reacting to threats. It's about creating a culture of cybersecurity awareness,
Right.
where everyone understands the importance of protecting sensitive information and being vigilant in the digital world.
So we've got employee training covered. What about protecting the data itself?
Okay.
Our guide compares data encryption to putting valuable information in a locked safe.
It's an excellent analogy.
Yeah.
Data encryption essentially scrambles information into an unreadable format,
Okay.
making it inaccessible to anyone who doesn't have the decryption key.
Right.
This is critical for protecting sensitive data both in transit and at rest.
So even if someone manages to breach your systems, the data is useless to them without the key.
That's the idea. It's like having a secret code that only authorized individuals could decipher.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of safeguarding valuable assets, our guide tells a rather chilling story about a business brought to its knees by ransomware.
Oh, ransomware.
Yeah, highlighting the critical importance of data backups.
Ransomware attacks are becoming increasingly prevalent,
Yeah,
and they can be devastating for businesses.
yeah,
It's like digital extortion,
right.
where hackers encrypt your data and demand a ransom to unlock it.
It's like a digital kidnapping holding your data hostage.
Exactly. But having regular backups of your critical data is like having an insurance policy.
Okay.
If your data is compromised, you can restore it from a backup and minimize the damage without giving in to the ransom demands.
So how often should businesses back up their data?
Well, the frequency depends on the nature of the business and how critical the data is. Some businesses might require daily backups, while others might get by with weekly or monthly backups.
Okay. And where should these backups be stored?
It's crucial to have a multi-layered approach.
Okay.
This could include on-site backups for quick restoration, off-site backups in a secure location, and increasingly cloud-based backups for accessibility and redundancy.
So multiple backups in different locations.
Right.
Ensures that you're covered in case of a disaster. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about firewalls. Our guide likens them to a security guard for your network controlling who gets in and out.
That's a good way to visualize it.
Yeah.
Firewalls act as a barrier between your network and the outside world,
Okay.
examining incoming and outgoing traffic and blocking anything that doesn't meet the defined security rules.
Right.
They help prevent unauthorized access and protect against various cyber threats.
So they're like the bouncers at a club checking IDs and making sure only authorized individuals get in?
Yeah, exactly.
But how do you know if your firewall is doing its job effectively?
Well, firewalls require proper configuration and regular updates to stay ahead of evolving threats.
Okay.
It's also important to have both hardware and software firewalls for layered protection.
Right.
Think of it as having multiple layers of security, each providing a different level of defense.
Double the peace of mind.
Exactly.
And speaking of layered protection, our guide emphasizes the importance of multi-factor authentication, or MFA, for businesses.
Right.
Isn't that similar to 2FA?
MFA is essentially an enhanced version of 2FA designed to protect sensitive business systems and data.
Okay.
It requires multiple forms of authentication to verify a user's identity, making it incredibly difficult for unauthorized access, even if a password is stolen.
It's like that extra lock on the safe we talked about earlier,
Exactly.
adding another layer of security to your most valuable assets.
Right.
So even if someone steals your password, they still can't get in because they need that second or even third factor of authentication, like
Yeah.
a code from a separate device or a biometric scan.
Exactly. And those additional factors are much harder to compromise than a simple password.
Right.
MFA is a powerful tool for businesses looking to bolster their security posture.
Okay, so we've covered firewalls and MFA. Now our guide delves into security monitoring,
Okay.
which sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, security monitoring is like having a 24/7 security team watching over your network for suspicious activity.
Oh, wow.
It involves using various tools and techniques to detect, analyze, and respond to security incidents in real time.
So it's not just about setting up defenses, but also having eyes on the ground, constantly looking out for potential threats.
Precisely. Security monitoring involves analyzing logs, network traffic, and system behavior to identify anomalies that might indicate a cyber attack.
So what happens when a potential threat is detected?
That's where incident response comes into play.
Okay.
Having a well-defined incident response plan is crucial.
Right.
This plan outlines the steps to take when a security incident occurs,
Okay.
including containment, eradication, recovery, and reporting.
So it's like having a battle plan for when the digital enemy attacks,
Right.
ensuring a swift and coordinated response.
Right.
This has been incredibly insightful, but before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on some practices that are essential for both individuals and businesses.
Sounds good. There are definitely some universal principles that apply across the board.
Absolutely. First up, regular security audits. Our guide compares these to a regular health checkup for your digital life or business,
Makes sense.
which makes a lot of sense.
It's a great way to think about it. Security audits help you identify vulnerabilities and weaknesses in your systems before they can be exploited by attackers.
Go.
Think of it as a proactive approach to cybersecurity.
So it's like staying ahead of the curve and addressing potential issues before they become major problems.
Exactly.
So what do these audits typically involve?
For businesses, this could include vulnerability scans, penetration testing, and comprehensive security assessments.
Okay.
These measures help identify weaknesses in systems, applications, and networks.
And for individuals?
For individuals, it could be as simple as reviewing your online accounts and privacy settings, checking for outdated software, ensuring your devices are properly secured, and being mindful of the information you share online.
Good points.
Yeah.
And then there's the often overlooked aspect of physical security. Our guide reminds us that cybersecurity isn't just about the digital realm.
Right.
It extends to the physical world as well.
That's right. It's easy to focus solely on digital threats, but securing physical access to devices and sensitive information is equally important.
So what are some examples of physical security measures?
For businesses, this might involve securing office buildings, server rooms, and physical devices like laptops and smartphones.
Okay.
This could include measures like access control systems, surveillance cameras, and secure storage for sensitive documents.
And for individuals?
For individuals, it could be as simple as locking your computer when you step away from it, being mindful of who has access to your devices, and shredding sensitive documents before discarding them.
Simple yet effective measures. Okay, last but not least, our guide emphasizes the importance of staying informed about the ever-evolving landscape of cyber threats.
Yeah, the world of cybersecurity is constantly changing with new threats emerging all the time. It's crucial to stay updated on the latest trends, vulnerabilities, and best practices.
So how can we stay informed and keep up with all these changes?
Well, there are many great resources available.
Okay.
Reputable cybersecurity blogs, articles, and websites provide insights into the latest threats and defensive strategies.
Right.
Following industry experts and organizations on social media can also be helpful.
It's like having a constant feed of cybersecurity news and updates.
Exactly. And don't forget about podcasts.
Of course, podcasts are a fantastic way to learn about cybersecurity in a more engaging and accessible format.
Absolutely.
Well, that wraps up part 1 of our cybersecurity deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from the fundamentals of strong passwords and 2FA to the importance of employee training, data encryption firewalls, MFA security monitoring, and even physical security.
Yeah, we've explored a wide range of best practices for individuals and businesses, setting the stage for a deeper dive into more advanced concepts in part 2.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll venture further into the cybersecurity landscape, exploring emerging trends and discussing how to build a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy.
Right. It's going to be good.
Welcome back to our cybersecurity deep dive in part 1. We covered a lot of ground from the basics of strong passwords to the importance of employee training and data backups. But our journey into the world of cybersecurity doesn't stop there.
Right. It's a constantly evolving landscape.
Yeah, exactly. As the digital landscape evolves, so too do the threats we face. So, in this next section, we're going to delve into some more advanced concepts that are critical for staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, sounds good.
Our guide mentions the concept of zero trust security. It sounds a bit intense, like something out of a spy movie.
It might sound like a dramatic shift,
Yeah.
but the principle behind zero trust is actually quite simple.
Okay.
Never trust,
Yeah.
always verify. You see, traditional security models often relied on the idea of a fortified perimeter,
Okay.
assuming that anyone inside the network could be trusted. But in today's world, where people are accessing data from multiple devices, locations, and networks, that perimeter has become blurred.
So the old castle and moat approach isn't enough anymore.
Not really. Yeah. No, zero trust recognizes that threats can come from both inside and outside the organization.
Right.
Instead of assuming trust, zero trust requires every user and device to be authenticated and authorized every time they access a resource, regardless of their location or network.
So it's like having multiple checkpoints throughout the castle, not just at the main gate.
That's a good way to visualize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, zero trust involves a combination of technologies and practices,
Okay.
including multi-factor authentication identity and access management, microsegmentation, and continuous monitoring. It's about minimizing the attack surface and making it much harder for attackers to move laterally within a network, even if they manage to breach one point.
So this sounds like a major shift in how businesses approach security. What are some of the challenges of implementing a zero trust model?
Implementing zero trust can be complex. It requires careful planning and a deep understanding of the organization's systems and data flows.
Right.
It also involves a cultural shift, moving away from implicit trust to a model of continuous verification. But the benefits of zero trust are significant, particularly in today's increasingly interconnected and distributed work environments.
It sounds like zero trust is all about being proactive and assuming that threats could come from anywhere.
Exactly.
Now, our guide also mentions something called threat intelligence. What exactly does that entail?
Threat intelligence is about gathering and analyzing information about potential threats, their tactics, and their targets. It's like having a spy network in the cyber world, helping you understand the motives, capabilities, and attack patterns of malicious actors.
So it's about knowing your enemy, so to speak.
Precisely. Threat intelligence can come from a variety of sources, including open source reports, security vendor feeds, dark web forums, and even information sharing communities within specific industries.
Wow, so it really runs the gamut.
It does. By understanding the threats that are relevant to your organization, you can better prioritize your defenses and allocate resources effectively.
So how can businesses actually use threat intelligence to improve their security posture?
Well, threat intelligence can be used to inform security policies, prioritize vulnerabilities, and improve detection and response capabilities.
Okay.
For example, if you know that a particular type of malware is targeting your industry, you can take steps to mitigate that specific threat,
Okay.
such as patching vulnerable systems or implementing additional security controls.
It's like having a heads up on what the bad guys are planning.
Exactly. Threat intelligence helps you stay ahead of the curve, moving from a reactive approach to a proactive approach to cybersecurity.
Okay, so we've got zero trust in threat intelligence. Our guide also mentions something called Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response, or SO for short. What in the world is that?
SOAR is all about streamlining and automating security operations.
Okay.
As the volume and complexity of cyber attacks continue to grow, security teams are facing an overwhelming number of alerts and incidents to manage SOAR platforms, help automate repetitive tasks, freeing up security professionals to focus on more strategic initiatives.
So it's like having a digital assistant for your security team.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
SR platforms integrate different security tools and technologies,
Okay.
orchestrating workflows and automating tasks such as threat detection, incident response, and vulnerability remediation. This helps security teams become more efficient and effective, allowing them to respond to threats faster and with greater precision.
So this sounds incredibly powerful. Can you give us an example of how SOAR might be used in a real-world scenario?
Sure. Let's say your Security Information and Event Management System, or SIEM,
Okay.
detects a suspicious login attempt.
Okay.
A SOAR platform could automatically trigger a series of actions, such as verifying the user's identity, checking for other signs of compromise, and isolating the affected device from the network. This all happens in real time, without any manual intervention, allowing your security team to respond to the threat quickly and efficiently.
That's amazing. It sounds like SR could be a game changer for businesses struggling to keep up with the sheer volume of security alerts.
Absolutely. By automating routine tasks and orchestrating complex workflows, SR helps security teams manage the complexity of modern cyber threats and focus on what matters most, protecting their organization's critical assets.
This is all fascinating, but I'm also realizing just how complex cybersecurity can be. It's a bit overwhelming.
It can be, but it's important to remember that you don't have to become a cybersecurity expert overnight. The key is to start with the basics, build a solid foundation, and continually learn and adapt as the threat landscape evolves.
Right. Our guide provides a great roadmap, but where should someone even begin?
Well, start by assessing your current security posture. Identify your most critical assets, the potential threats they face, and the vulnerabilities that could be exploited. Once you have a clear understanding of your risks, you can start to implement appropriate security controls and develop a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy.
And don't be afraid to seek help from experts, right?
Absolutely. There are many qualified cybersecurity professionals and organizations that can provide guidance and support. There are also numerous resources available online, including frameworks, best practices, and educational materials.
Well, I'm feeling a bit more empowered now, knowing that there are resources and strategies available to help us navigate this complex world of cybersecurity.
That's great to hear. And remember, cybersecurity is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
It's about constantly learning, adapting, and improving your defenses to stay one step ahead of the ever-evolving threat landscape.
Speaking of evolving threats, we've got one more section to cover in our deep dive. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore some emerging trends and predictions for the future of cybersecurity.
It's going to be a fascinating look at what lies ahead in the ever-evolving world of cyber threats and defenses, and how we can prepare for the challenges that lie ahead.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've explored a lot of ground from the fundamentals of strong passwords to the complexities of zero trust and threat intelligence.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, but now it's time to kind of look ahead, right, and peer into that crystal ball.
Exactly. In this final part of our deep dive,
Right.
we'll explore some of the emerging trends shaping the future of cybersecurity.
Okay.
It's a fascinating landscape that's constantly evolving.
Yeah, so our guide mentions the rise of artificial intelligence, or AI, in cybersecurity.
Right.
It sounds a bit like something out of a science fiction movie.
It might seem futuristic,
Yeah.
but it's already playing a significant role in cybersecurity. Think of it as a powerful tool
Okay.
that can analyze vast amounts of data, identify patterns, and detect threats that traditional security systems might miss. It's like having a tireless digital detective constantly watching over your network.
So AI is like having an army of super smart robots defending our digital assets.
It's a good analogy. AI-powered security tools can automate tasks, analyze logs, detect anomalies, and even predict attacks before they happen.
Wow.
This helps security teams become more proactive and efficient in their efforts to defend against cyber threats.
So it's really changing the game.
It is.
But our guide also mentions that cybercriminals are starting to use AI for their own malicious purposes. It's a bit like an arms race in the digital world.
Absolutely. As AI technology becomes more accessible, both defenders and attackers are leveraging its capabilities.
Right.
This means cybersecurity professionals need to constantly innovate and develop even more sophisticated AI-powered defenses to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's like a constant game of cat and mouse, but with super intelligent machines.
Exactly. And as AI continues to evolve, it will undoubtedly play an even greater role in shaping the future of cybersecurity.
So AI is definitely something to keep our eye on.
Definitely.
Now, another trend our guide highlights is the growing importance of the Internet of Things, or IoT.
All right, the IoT.
Yeah, IoT, that's all those smart devices we're surrounding ourselves with, right? Smart homes, wearables, connected cars, the whole shebang.
Precisely. The IoT has brought incredible convenience and connectivity to our lives, but it also presents a significant cybersecurity challenge.
Okay.
Each connected device, from your smart refrigerator to your car, is a potential entry point for hackers.
So our increasingly interconnected world is also becoming increasingly vulnerable.
In a sense, yes. Many IoT devices lack robust security features, making them easy targets for cybercriminals. As the number of connected devices continues to skyrocket, securing the IoT will become even more critical.
This is making me rethink my plans for a fully automated smart home.
Well, it's essential to be aware of the risks. Choose reputable brands with strong security features.
Okay.
Keep your devices updated and change default passwords. And always consider the security implications before connecting a new device to your network.
Okay, so AI and IoT are big trends. What else is on the horizon?
Well, our guide points to the increasing sophistication of social engineering attacks. These attacks target the human element,
Right.
exploiting our trust and vulnerabilities to gain access to sensitive information.
Social engineering, that sounds a bit like psychological manipulation.
It is social engineering attacks can take many forms,
Okay.
from phishing emails to impersonating trusted individuals or organizations. They often prey on our emotions, using fear, urgency, or even excitement to trick us into making mistakes.
Wow. They really pull out all the stops.
They do.
Now, our guide mentions deepfakes as a particularly concerning form of social engineering.
Oh, yeah, those are scary.
Those are those incredibly realistic fake videos, right?
Exactly. Deepfakes leverage AI to create incredibly convincing audio and video recordings.
Right.
They
Yeah.
can be used to spread disinformation, manipulate individuals, or damage reputations.
It's getting harder and harder to distinguish between what's real and what's fake.
That's the challenge as deepfake technology becomes more sophisticated and accessible.
Right.
It will become increasingly important to verify information from trusted sources and be critical of what we see and hear online.
That's good advice. This is all a bit daunting,
It is.
but it's also empowering to learn about these emerging threats and how to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power when it comes to cybersecurity. The more we understand about the threats we face, the better equipped we are to defend against them.
So where do we go from here? What's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. It's not just the job of IT professionals or security experts. We all have a role to play in creating a safer digital world.
Okay.
This means being proactive, staying informed, and adopting good cybersecurity practices in our daily lives.
So we can't simply rely on others to protect us. We need to take ownership of our own cybersecurity.
Exactly. And remember, cybersecurity is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
The threat landscape is constantly evolving, so we need to stay vigilant, adaptable, and continue learning to keep pace with the latest threats.
Excellent advice. Well, there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into cybersecurity best practices has come to an end. We've covered a lot of ground, from the fundamentals of strong passwords to the complexities of AI-powered defenses and the emerging threats on the horizon.
It has been a lot.
It's been a fascinating journey, and I hope our listeners are feeling more empowered to navigate the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity.
Me too.
A huge thanks to our expert for guiding us through this intricate landscape and sharing their incredible insights.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, cybersecurity is not just about technology. It's about awareness, vigilance, and taking action to protect ourselves and our digital lives. Stay safe, stay informed, and until next time, keep exploring the depths of knowledge.